Hello, I'm Joseph Giunta, the music director and conductor of the Des Moines Symphony and Academy, and I'm very excited to welcome you to the 80th anniversary of the Des Moines Symphony. That's 80 consecutive years of great music making for Central Iowa, and our first concert is called Invitation to the Dance. How appropriate is it for a season that we start with Carl Maria von Weber's Invitation to the Dance? This is a great example of a concert waltz. The arrangement that we're doing of it is by FELIX Violin. Weingartner was a very famous conductor that lived at the end of the 1800s and start of the 1900s. And he was the start of an era where conductors would make their own arrangements of things. And when Weingartner heard this piece that was originally for piano, he decided that he would orchestrate it for a very large romantic orchestra, and this is a virtuoso showpiece and will be perfectly appropriate to open up our season. Max Bruch is one of the great romantic composers of all time. His music is somewhat connected to Brahms. It has wonderful sonorous melodies and romantic lyricism, rather than the new music that was being written at the time by Wagner and Liszt that was more progressive and innovative. The piece that we're going to play for you is the G minor concerto of Bruch. He wrote two violin concertos, and the first one is the most popular, and it's one that Jennifer Frautschi, our Grammy-nominated violinist and friend of ours, will play better than anyone on the circuit, I think. It's a great piece of music. It's in three movements, where the first and second movements are played without pause. The first movement is sort of a wonderful allegro, quite virtuosic for a violinist. And the slow movement is really the heart and the soul of the concerto. It's beautiful and romantic and lyrical, and the solo violinist soars far above the orchestra. And as I said, Jennifer will play it as well as anyone on the concert stage today. And then it ends with a wonderful sort of gypsy dance that's again virtuosic and fast and full of pyrotechnics for the violinist, and I know will be a wonderful success for Jennifer and the Des Moines Symphony. I'm always delighted to work with Jennifer. I met her about 6 or 7 years ago at a festival in Oregon, and immediately after I heard her play, I invited her to come to Des Moines. So she played the Barber Concerto with us about 5 or 6 years ago, and I've now invited her back. SERGEI Rachmaninoff was a great composer, a great conductor, and a great pianist. Maybe one of the greatest pianists ever. After the Russian Revolution, he actually lived in Lucerne and a little bit in New York and so on, and finally died in Hollywood. He had an interesting life in that his music was, some of it was very well accepted and some of it not. And this affected him in some pretty serious and dramatic ways. For example, after the first symphony, the critics really panned it, and it sent him into a deep depression, which he eventually was able to get out of by going to a therapist by the name of Dr. Dahl. He had these kinds of demons all of his life. This piece in particular we're going to play is the culmination of his style and his musicianship. It was written at Orchard Point on Long Island. Rachmaninoff wrote this wonderful piece, wrote to Eugene Ormandy and said, "I have a great piece for you that I would like to dedicate to you in the Philadelphia Orchestra." And they premiered it in 1941. The first movement is this wonderful eclectic dance that has a lot of great rhythms and a hauntingly beautiful saxophone solo played by Jim Romaine. This instrument Rachmaninoff had never written before, and it really engages our audience when this instrument comes in the middle of this piece. The second movement is a glorious melancholy and nostalgic waltz, full of those wonderful heartthrobs from Russia past. The final piece is full of complicated rhythms and wonderful melodies in the last movement. It's a very dramatic ending, and one that I'm very fond of. I heard the Philadelphia Orchestra and Eugene Ormandy play this piece at least 3 times that I remember when I was a child, and each time it sort of grew on me. It wasn't the kind of piece that the public immediately accepted, but shortly after the last 10 or so years, it certainly has gone down in history as one of Rachmaninoff's most popular and exciting pieces. So I look forward to conducting it and look forward to seeing all of you at our concerts with the Des Moines Symphony.